This
Picture
is
good?
Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for Kyaks.guru with Ken Ludmer. Good morning, Ken.
And good morning, Karen. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. And,
Yeah.
I learned a lot about you last week as you went through some stories with us. But I understand today we're going to talk more about the present. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going to start because I can't speak about anything else. My mind is completely flooded with the insane world that I've been watching on television. And then after I get through that, I'll calm down and I'll give you some more stories from the road. So we'll be back doing similar stuff. Got some fun stories today. So getting ready, got to put on the official yakking hat.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yeah, you can't yak without that hat. So let me start. So, I get a lot of people saying, don't watch the convention because Trump wants ratings. Everything is over. It's a reality show, the White House reality show. It's all about ratings, and he's going to get more than the Democrats. Of course, he's always measuring it about how big it is and whatever, all this craziness. So, I couldn't watch it. I could tune in and get little bits, but my television is made, of plastic and glass, and it's not that strong. And if I watch the thing, I'm probably going to throw something at the TV. So to save my TV, I don't watch it. So I read all the stories this morning about what they're actually talking about, and it's mind-boggling. It really is. Having grown up in the 50s in a Republican household, we liked Ike. My mother and father really were conservative to middle of the line Republicans. There was the county I grew up in, which is the one I live in, it's Hudson County, had one Republican town called Weehawken, and my sister married the mayor's son. So we were involved in local politics. I used to be able to go down to the mayor's office, sit in his chair, do stuff like that. Normal, everyday people. We grew up in the mayor's house and stuff. You couldn't tell a Democrat from a Republican because on the town council, they had both. There wasn't much difference. One was a little bit to the center, to the right of the center, other than that. Now, since 2016, my belief is that party is shot. There's nothing left of what the traditional Republican Party. So here you have a convention. Now, what's a convention supposed to be? You gather up all the different elements of your party, and they all sit down and hash out a campaign, a platform, the issues they want to discuss. Their constituents have reported to them, this is what's important in Iowa, this is what's important in Idaho, this is what you need in Texas, and everybody fights to get what they want into the program. They vote on it. It's a democratic process. Well, in this convention, they decided they didn't need a platform. Why not? Because they have their cult leader. And they don't have to do any thinking. They don't have to do any preparation. They just have to say, yes, sir. Hail the king. Hail the puppet master. So what do we have? We have a party nominating one guy. That's Russia. They don't get any input. He tells them what he's going to do. Anybody else that wants to stand up with him winds up in a hospital poisoned. That's just, that's the world of an autocracy. And so, Trump is building one here. And it's amazing to me. I used to feel sorry for the Trump people, feeling they weren't that smart. They got duped into something. But, at one point, you'd figure it out, When he says the virus is going to go away and your uncle dies of COVID, or that he says, I'm going to get you jobs and the jobs don't come back, or he says, I'm going to get you health care and you don't get health care, and you're going to have brand new highways and roads and you don't get highways and roads. And then he puts up a sign on promises made and promises delivered. You wonder what reality are you living in? Really, it's just out and out lies. here he is. He puts in a donor at the head of the post office. The guy starts collecting mailboxes and taking them off, taking out postal sorters that speed up mail. Then they get in front of you and they say, "I'm not doing it. It's not. We're not obstructing justice. We're not obstructing the mail. We're not slowing it down." And then the orange guy gets on and he says, "Well, if we vote by mail, which is a proven safest, one of the safest," he says the Democrats are going to steal the election. They're stealing it. The Democrats are the ones that are stealing it by doing a true and honest reporting. And here he is doing all this stuff. Well, as a therapist, I think I told you before, it's denial and projection. I'm not doing it, you're doing it. And the reason I'm doing it is because you did it. And it's okay if I do it because you did it first. So he justifies lying to these people. And you see them. Hey, good days are here again, Trump. It's like the world they live in is so unreal. And they don't even realize he's using them. He doesn't give a damn about radical Christians, or what do they call them? Born-again Christians, right, and stuff like that, which is his base. The guy never goes to church. He doesn't even know how to hold up the Bible.
He stood in front of a church, though.
I can't hear you, Karen.
He stood in front of a church.
You have no voice.
I have no voice. Well, I think it may be your speakers. I'll let you keep talking.
I should keep talking, but I want to hear you, and I can't hear you.
Oh, well,
I don't know what happened. You were on before, but is there anything that I can push?
I don't know. We're going to learn together.
No?
No, because it's coming through on my end. So we're just going to let you keep talking.
I don't know what to do. I guess, should I not, if I should just continue?
Just keep continuing.
You can hear me.
Yes, okay. I can hear you.
Sorry about this. So the world is crazy with these Trump people. They live in a world that's not true. And you can see what he's doing. He's doing the old fear thing. You got to watch out for them. They're going to come take your guns. They're going to get your daughters. They're going to take your job. They're going to take your money. It's like this paranoid world that he lives in, with his right-wing conspirators in his ear telling him about the deep state is after him. I mean, he actually believes all this crazy stuff. And could it possibly be 41% of the people out there actually believe what he says? That's the truth? Fox News is the truth. They are coming under such media pressure now because of the out-and-out lies that they're passing on. They're really just a political party now. They're not even a news organization anymore. They have some people during the day are now starting to stand up. But your early morning people and your news people, 7 to 10, all the Sean Hannity's and stuff like that, it's just an absolute roadshow. The Daily News really nailed it the other day. They had a picture of him in a clown suit with a Carnival Barker hat on, and said the Republican convention's about to begin. And here he is, the Carnival Barker. Well, it's the same reason he didn't get elected in New York in 1990, because everybody knew he was full of crap. And nobody believed anything he said, and he couldn't even get himself nominated for mayor of New York. And here he winds up being the president, Just shows you New York is smart. So, I mean, I'll probably watch, when they get past Donald Trump Jr., because that should be a wild show. I mean, the stuff I read what he writes, he's nuttier than his father. I think he has political ambitions down the road. When the Sir Cheeseburger is no longer there, they're going to bring in the young guy. But he will not be able to handle it. It's way above his father's level, and he's less than his father. So it should be interesting. Well, all I want is us to get through November 3rd, have them not steal it from November 3rd through November 10th by the time they count all the ballots. And then maybe we can sleep for the next 4 years, And it's just, it's almost too much. The people I talk to and other people who were Trumpers, they shaking their heads too. It's only the real core that is at this meeting. All right. So now I'm going to go back and tell you some more stories from the road. And the stories from the road come from this book, The Insanity Begins at Home, which was my home life. So that's on Amazon if you want to get it. And two other stories are from the latest Searching for It, also on Amazon. Pick it up. So I want to start off with one of the first stories that was in Insanity Begins at Home. It's called Life Begins with a Headache. Now on January 31st, 1942, which was 78 years ago. Oh my God. The United States tested its air raid sirens for the first time. So 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now this is 1 month post Pearl Harbor. So the Japanese had just flown planes, bombed Pearl Harbor, and here we are. So here we are 1 month and a half later. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the air raid sirens go off. Now my 9 months pregnant mother is in the house alone. My father had taken my sister out to do the weekly shopping, so they were gone. You know, these were the days, there's no cell phone. Who would have heard of a cell phone? Who would have heard of a beeper? You know, I mean, when you were gone, you were gone. That was it. And even if you made a call on the telephone, you got the party line. And, you know, if Maisie Dillon was talking to her girlfriend about her hair, you know, you never got your phone call. So my mother hears the siren. And in her head, the Japanese are coming. They're coming. This is the air raid siren. They're bombing New York. So now she's panicking. She's running around the apartment. She does not know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, she just runs, gets in her bed and pulls the sheets up over her head. And then her water breaks. Okay. So now you can't get a hold of the husband. There's nobody there. She runs down the hall, downstairs, knocks on the door. Neighbor is there. They take a look at her and they say, okay, whatever. Let's get on the phone, call the doctor. So they get on the phone, they call the doctor. They say they're going to get in the car. They're going to drive from Weehawken. They're going to go down to Jersey City to Margaret Haig Hospital. They leave a note on the kitchen table for when my father comes home that he's going to say, you know, we're at Margaret Haig, so, you know, get down here. Halfway down to Margaret Haig, my mother says to Maisie, I'm not going to make it. This kid's coming now. So halfway between Weehawken and Jersey City is Christ Hospital, which is on the border of Hoboken and Jersey City. So they divert and they go straight to the emergency room of Christ Hospital. Now they have to call Margaret Haig and leave a message for the doctor so that when he finally gets down there, they're going to tell him to reroute him and send him back to Christ Hospital. Okay. So they get to the emergency room of Christ Hospital, and the nurses take a look and they see the baby is just about coming out. So what do? They cross my mother's legs and they get some sheets and they tie her legs together.
Never
Common
heard.
practice back then. Nobody wanted to deliver the baby without the doctor being present. So they said, well, she'll wait. You know, it won't be that long. He'll be here in 10, 15 minutes. Meantime, I'm now in the canal. I'm ready to come down. As I'm coming down, I'm coming up against, there's no room. So, you know, my head, I'm getting bashed out. I'm getting a headache. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, the doctor shows up. Okay, they untie the sheets, open her up, boom, out I come. Screaming, yelling, carrying on. This carrot top kid with a headache is screaming and yelling. Blah, 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 blah. So my mother says, well, I remember he came out with a headache. And then he gave one to everybody else after that. Now I want to tell you about Californian Mexicans. I'm hitching through the country. I'm now, probably 22. I'm hitchhiking out of San Francisco on US Highway 1. Guy in a truck picks me up. He's going all the way down to LA where I'm going. So it's like a 400-mile ride down the Pacific Coast Highway. It's going to be a beautiful ride. I'm so happy. Get a nice guy, comfortable truck. We get about halfway to San Jose, which is 90 miles from San Francisco, if I remember right. And pop, piston rod comes shooting through the engine. Out we pull to the side of the road, all the oil drains out of the engine, we're stuck. Now that's a hitchhiker's worst nightmare. You got this loyalty issue. Somebody just gave you a ride, but you don't have to stay with him. You can just get another ride. Or do you wait and stay with that guy, blah, 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 blah. So we're waiting around figuring how bad it is. It looks really bad. Truck full of Mexicans coming back from doing a fruit picking job. They pull over. They come out, they take a look underneath the hood. Everybody says, finito. It's over. This car isn't going anywhere. No mas. So I decide I gotta leave. So I wish them well. We call the flag, put up the flag, tell people call us the State Highway Patrol, but whatever, they're gonna come help this poor guy stuck on the side of the road. I get in the truck with the Mexicans. Okay. So now where we going? We're going down to LA. So about halfway down to LA, they say they really want to go to San Diego. I said, well, I'd like to see LA, but may I see it on the way back? All right, I'll go with you guys to San Diego. So about halfway down, a bottle of tequila shows up in the truck. Not only that, they got limes, they got lemon, and they got salt. Now, I've never seen any of this before. So the bottle goes around, boom, you take a swig, you bite the lemon, they put a little salt on your hand, you bite the thing. I think this is neat. And I don't even taste tequila. I've been tasting more lemon than tequila, blah, blah, blah. And so the bottle goes around, the bottle goes around, and the bottle goes around, and they start singing, and I'm just listening to them. I think by the time I had my fourth go round, I was singing with them, and I didn't speak Spanish at the time, So we're singing, carrying on. That's the last thing I remember. I passed out. Where do I wake up? I'm on a cot. Smells like it's a flower shop. It's all like I thought it was a funeral parlor first, but it was a flower shop. And I wake up and where the hell am I? And I look down and there's my knapsack, right next to the bed. And in from the other room comes this Spanish-looking woman. She looks at me and she says, "You sleep good." So now she's saying, J-O-O, for you. I'm thinking she's saying J-E-W. You sleep good. So how does she know I'm Jewish? So I wake up and I look at her and I'm saying, "Where are we?" "Oh, señor, es Tijuana, de México. Mi nombre es Juanita. ¿Cómo está?" At that point, I passed out again. I just went right back. Here I am. Holy shit, I'm in Mexico. So I wake up later and I smell cooking coming from the back room. And so she, gets me some water and stuff. I get up and I walk in the back room. Now these Mexicans are now sitting around, they're playing cards, they're carrying on, there's more tequila. They look at me, they think I'm the funniest thing in the world. They start laughing and, "Hey, más tequila," No, I don't want any más tequila. I want agua. ¿Tú tienes agua mexicana? Like, no, I don't. I don't think I want Mexican water. You got any bottle? The whole thing is like really weird. So I sit down with them, and they just said, "You had a great time. You had a great time." And I'm saying, "Oh my God, I'm in Mexico. Do I have a visa? Do I need one? How do I get back? Of course, I mean, I'm going to San Diego." And they just said, "No, it's no problem." And they show me, we sit down, we eat after the whole meal. I go outside and there's a main road. And the Mexicans just point and they say, get a ride and go north. So next part is a family from LA in a van. They stop and pick me up and I'm telling them the story. They're just laughing at me. They think I'm out of my mind. And sure enough, we go right through the border, no problem. So I learned that, if you're going to hitchhike with a whole bunch of Mexicans and you don't know where you are, don't know what you're doing, don't drink tequila. Now I'm going to tell you about Ben and Little Bird. I was hitchhiking through Albuquerque. Now, Albuquerque is, I'm thinking the beautiful Southwest, mesas, colored painted deserts, sun-baked cities, really. I get to Albuquerque and the first thing I see is oil wells. Then I see highway signs, then gas stations, and it's as ugly as you can believe. It just looks so hodgepodge and crowded. To me, it looked like Cincinnati in the sun. It really wasn't much of a place. And as I'm talking to people around there, they're telling me what I'm looking for is really not Albuquerque. They say, what you're looking for is Santa Fe. Okay, so sorry, wrong town. So I go to the edge of town. Now I want to go to Santa Fe. It's not too far a ride. Indian guy in a pickup truck picks me up and I look at him and like I'm all aglow. This is a real Indian. I mean, he's got the... What's your name? He says, Ben. What do you mean, Ben? Ben's a Jewish name from New York. I want to hear Little Feather or Three Birds or, So he's making fun of me. And I said to him, I've never met a real honest-to-goodness Indian before, but I know a couple things about Indians, and I want to know if they're really true. And is it true that you respect and have part of your heritage is all the dead people in your family? Like, is it part of the culture? He said, absolutely. The spirits are with us all the time. And I think that all Indians are good horsemen. Is that true? He said, not all. He said, but we're known for being able to ride horses without saddles and whatever that and blah, blah, blah. And, I was just asking him cultural things. And he's looking at me like, is this kid for real? I mean, he's so naive but straightforward, seems honest, blah, blah, blah. So I said, listen, your name is Ben. And I'm surprised at that because from what I know, the way you name an Indian child is when the father leaves after the baby's born and leaves the teepee and goes outside, the first thing he sees, like three crows or a brown bear, little feather, whatever he sees, that he names the baby. I said, and that's not true? He said, well, you're about 100 years behind the times. That was true back when we lived in teepees, he said, but, I was born in a hospital and I'm named after my wife's father named Ben, and I was born in a hospital. So, okay, straighten me out on that. So we're talking, and now as we're going by, Ben is pointing out everything, that's a coyote over there. That's this kind of sequoia cactus. This is this kind of flower. That's an eagle up there. You know, and he's just, you know, he's one with this environment. He knows exactly everything he's looking at. You know, and I'm like, my eyes are wide open. So he says, listen, you really want to see Indian culture? Would you like to come home with me? You know, now I'm salivating, you know, like, you know, he's going to actually take me home. So we get to Santa Fe, and Santa Fe is gorgeous. It's exactly what I want. It's an arts and crafts town. There's pottery, there's jewelry, there's leather goods, there's beads, stone, things made out of wood. I mean, the downtown market area, I'm going, oh, wow, all the time. And he's looking at me like, wow, wow, wow. So he says, listen, calm down. I'll bring you back here later. You know, he said, so let's go home. So we go to this nice, modest house, you know, living room, dining room, kitchen, bedroom. But outside, it's got all the cactuses and the stone and the wood and the chimes. And, you know, it's just perfectly balanced, really nice stuff. So I walk in, and he says to his wife, he said, little bird, this is Ken. Oh, little bird, I'm so happy to meet you. And I shake her hand, and she looks at Ben, and she says, my name is Cheryl. So he got me, you know, it was like absolutely perfect, you know. I said, you played me well, you know, good for you, you know. And so then he told the whole story about me telling the teepee story and stuff like that. So now Ben and Little Bird, or Cheryl, we sit down, we have dinner. She had made corn, she had bean, corn husks, you know, it was just a sun tea and everything. We had this fabulous meal, all just what I expected. And then they took me back downtown, dropped me off at the arts and crafts thing, blah, 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 and they left. And I had such a beautiful day, and it was one of my nicest days with them, and then downtown. And I went up on a little mesa at the end of the night as the sun goes down, and I swear I could still hear them laughing. All right. I'm going to tell you about friendly Birmingham. Now, Birmingham, Alabama, everybody knows, is in the deep South. This is Ku Klux Klan territory. This is 1965, after Cheney and the other two men were hung in Mississippi, you know, the Freedom Riders that went down there, outside agitators. White Northern liberal kids were not on the welcome mat in the South. After that, you know, and I looked the part. I looked like I'm a Northern rebel rouser. The only thing in my favor is I didn't have a lot of people with me. So I'm hitchhiking. I stop at a diner and I go outside after I ate and everything. I'm out on the road. And normally you would get the ride in the diner, but there was a lot of traffic going by, and they weren't going by fast because people were stopping for the diner, and the people behind them had to stop, so they made the left. I could get a ride right there. Who comes along on the other side of the road is an Alabama state trooper, and he's going the other way. I'm going south, he's going up. He just pulls off to the side of the road and he stops. Now I'm sweating already. I'm just saying, this sucker is just watching me. He's not doing anything. Didn't open up his door, nothing. Behind me, another state trooper stops about the same distance. He's now behind me. The other guy's in front of me. I don't know what to do. I'm just standing there frozen. Sure enough, both doors open up at the same time. The statey comes across the highway. The other guy comes behind me. Who are you? Tell him my name. What are you doing here? Well, I'm hitchhiking across the country. Do you know it's illegal to hitch on the Alabama highway? I got visions of the chain gang already. No, sir, I don't know. Get on the ground. I said, have I done it? We're asking the questions. Goes down, takes my backpack, opens it up, throws all the stuff on the road. I'm just looking through for nothing. Sees I'm unarmed, sees I have no weapon, blah, blah, blah. All right, get up. Get up. Hands behind your back. Handcuffs me. Takes my stuff, just throws it in the back of the state trooper car. And I don't even have words. Here I am. Nobody knows where I am, number one. You know, there's no cell phones. There's no calls. There's none of that. I just said I could get it. I had it in Pennsylvania where I had a speeding ticket, you know, and they bring it to the judge's house, and he takes his hat off, puts on the court clerk, takes your money, and then next thing he's the bailiff, and you know. So I figured I'm going to get one of these rush to judgments by tomorrow. I'm going to be on a chain gang somewhere in there. So the car, where does the car go? Goes back to the diner. Now both of them, both state troopers, not local guys, just state troopers. Park their vehicles, get me out, and they walk me in the diner. What the hell are they walking me in the diner for? Maybe they want a cup of coffee, and I don't matter. So I walk in, they sit down at the counter, the two of them, and they leave me standing there. And everybody is laughing. They're looking at me, and they're laughing because they know something I don't know. Turns out, the owner, who's behind the counter, where I'd had my cup of coffee before I went there, called up his brother-in-law, the state trooper, and said, listen, we got a Yankee. Let's just fuck with him. And so the whole thing was a ruse. It was just to get me in there, scare the shit out of the northern kid, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sweating by that. So now I say to them, and I'm still in handcuffs. They didn't take them off. They were just laughing. So I said, listen, I got to go to the bathroom. And at the whole diner, it's cracking. Now I'm going into the bathroom trying to get the door open with my handcuffs. Finally, the cop came on, took my handcuffs off. I went into the bathroom, came back out. Went back out, he said, so where you going? I said, going to California. He said, well, you're going the wrong way. California's south. I said, yeah, well, I want to go to Louisiana first. So he said, okay. He said, well, you won't get to Louisiana from this road. You're going to have to go through Mississippi first. You know. So he said, we'll drop you off at the Mississippi border. So the state, he puts me in the back of the car again. But now it's all yucking up, and I figured I'd tell them some baseball story. You know, they love baseball in the South. I tell them, you know, I had a tryout and I made it for the Mets, you know, and blah, blah. Oh, you're a baseball guy? Yeah, we're having this whole nice talk. And sure enough, they dropped me across the state line in Mississippi. And so that's friendly Birmingham.
Wow.
So I get through Mississippi. Now I'm in Louisiana. Not Louisiana. Louisiana.
President Trump is doubling down on his anti-immigration rhetoric as part of his
Alexa, quiet. I got Alexa. So now, Alexa, quiet. Sorry about that. So now I'm in a little diner in Louisiana, trying to get my next ride. And in comes this young woman. She sits a couple seats away from me. Now, she's a bit scary. You know, looked a little scraggly. You know, hair was a little funny. Clothes looked a little thrown together. She looks at me, gives me a smile. Tooth's missing here. Seemed harmless, you know, just not all too together. So I'm looking at her and hi, you're not from around here. How can you tell? She said, I know, you're not from around here. You don't look like the boys around here look. Okay, I'm not from around here. So she said, where you going? Well, I'm going to New Orleans. Oh. He said, well, I'm going to Dallas. I said, okay. So we go riding along through Louisiana. Before you know it, she doesn't go down to New Orleans. She's on the road going to Texas. And I'm wondering, why would this woman, she's telling me stories about every bad man in her life. Her father abused her, her brother abused her, boyfriends are no good, they cheat on her, everybody beats her up. You know, I mean, one wild ass story after another about, you know, her relationship with men, and it's not a pleasant story, you know. And so I'm listening to this crazy ass story, and I'm saying, why would this woman pick up a stranger of anybody? This is the last woman who you would think would pick up somebody from the road who they don't know, because, you know, men always turn out to be bad. So I couldn't take it. I finally had to ask her. I said, Nadine, why would you pick up a new man when you've had all this history? Oh, I said, well, that's real easy. That's real easy. She said, you need a good man to protect you from a bad one. So I'm thinking, I must be the good one. So I said, well, you think I'm the good one? Oh, sure, sure. Well, you're not from around here. And I heard that men not from around here are a lot better than the men that are from around here. So I figured if I'm going to, you know, need some partner, and I need somebody good. So I'm saying, but we're in a car. We're now in Texas. Why would she need some protecting? So I said, well, what do you need protecting from? Oh, well, this isn't my car. This is my boyfriend's car, and I took it. And he's going to figure out that I took the car. And after a while, when he calls around, he finds out that where I'm not, he's not going to know where I'm going. He knows I'm going to be going to Texas to go see my sister. And he's got a brother who's a state trooper here in Texas. So they're probably looking for me now. So here I am in a hot car with the potential of this Texas state trooper. I mean, I just dealt with Alabama. Now I got to deal with Texas. So came the next diner. I had a real emergency need for a bathroom. I went in the bathroom and hid in the bathroom to see. Nadine. So now I'm in Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City wasn't for me. You know, my New Yorker stuff is showing up big in Salt Lake City. You know, I mean, these people are Mormons. You know, the waitress is saying, "How are you today? Are you having a nice day? How may I serve you? How may I serve you?" I never heard a waitress talk like that. You know, they're told, "What do you want?" You know, so here is this overly friendly place that's serving 3.2 beer. The bars are open all the way till 11 o'clock at night. You can stay out all the way till the guy told me at the bar. He said, "Oh, yeah, we got a good nightlife here. We're up till 11 o'clock at night in the bars." And yeah, well, I used to go out at midnight in the Village. You know, so 11 o'clock's not so much you're sipping this water that you're calling beer. So anyway, I'm saying, I got to get out of Salt Lake. I mean, there's nothing here but choir people. You know, I went to one bar at night, and a lefty guy on the guitar, and they seemed like the Christian band rock group, and their lyrics were edited and stuff, and ping, 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 ping. Yeah, I mean, it was like, holy heavens. So I got to get out of here. I get on the road. Big old Cadillac Coupe de Ville, convertible. Monstrous. It was like 2 football fields long, this thing. White, red leather interior. This is the most gorgeous car I ever saw. You got a guy in the front seat. Now he fills up the whole front seat. He's a big, big man. I would say Bart maybe was 360 to 380. Cowboy boots, big belt, all kinds of stuff. And the friendliest goddamn guy you ever saw. Get in the car. How you doing? You know, give me a slap. What should I call you? Now you can call me Bart, Big Bart, anything. He said, blah, 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 blah. Where are you from, youngster? I'm New York. New York. Oh, man. I said, you like to gamble? I said, I've never been in the casino. Ooh. He said, whoa. Oh, this is going to be fun. Well, we're now riding, and this is the most lovely, friendly, big, good-natured man I'd ever met. Turns out he's a motel owner. He has 7 motels in a triangle between Reno, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City. And he makes the triangle route, and he goes in, visits all of them. He said, they're all doing fine. I'm making a ton of money. He said, I can't wait to go to Reno. Reno's home for me. Everybody knows me there. Okay, Bart. So first look at Reno, and it's got the, biggest little city in the world. It's all neon and lit up. It's the cutest little city. And one hotel after another, blah, blah, blah. Bart's salivate. I'm going to teach you today. You're going to learn. This is going to be fun. We stop at the Frontier Hotel. And as we walk in, everybody, hi, Bart. How you doing, big guy? But the whole place knows. Everybody knows this guy. It's like he walked in and the doors opened. The people, you knew he was some kind of big shot. So he said, listen, I'm a bit hungry. You want to go to the steak and chop house? Hey, I said, Bart, you know me. I'm hitchhiking. I don't have any kind of, no, don't talk to me about money. I don't want to hear it. You're with me. So we go into the steak and chop house, and sure enough, I had the biggest steak I'd ever had in my life. And blah, blah, blah. We're having this grand old time. Blah, blah, blah. We're eating up. The end of the meal, he just gets up. He says, let's go wash up. We go to the bathroom, and we wash up, and we walk up. I said, you never saw a check. He said, they owe me. We walked out. Nobody paid, nothing. So now we go into the casino, and it's the same thing. Hey, hi, Bart. How you been? Blah, 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 blah. We walk in. We're going to go to the craps table. Now, number one, I've never been in a casino. Number two, I have no idea what craps is all about. I got all these guys at the table hooting and hollering and yelling, blah, blah, blah. And he just says, listen, stand behind me. So he throws down $100 bills, and I'm dying. $100 bills. I think he put down $300. Now you could fill up your car, all week for like $15. So this is a huge amount of money. I'm saying, what if he loses it? Oh my God, how will he ever? I'm using my scale for him. So he gets some money. Now he got some chips. And he's betting, and he's rolling. And as he's rolling, other people are yelling, and I'm watching. And he said, it's real simple. He said, you roll them, and if you throw a 7, you win. And if you throw something else, that's your number. And you got to get that number before you roll a 7. Simple, right? I said, well, what are those other numbers? He said, well, your other numbers, you're 6, you're 8, you're 9, you're 10, you're 3. You can bet on them. And if they land on that, you get money while I'm rolling. He said, so watch. My phone just.
Are you okay? We're having some technical difficulties. Ken will be back with us very shortly.
I lost my. Do you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Wave your hand if you hear me. I don't see me.
I don't see you either. But I can hear you. Oh, there you are.
Am I back and
You're
can hear
back.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So we're now at the table, and he's rolling, and he's winning all kinds of money. The money is just coming in, and everybody's having a good time. So he says, step up. So I step up to the table next to him, he takes some chips and he puts them in my rack. And he says, just put down some chips. I put some chips down. He says, no, put them here, put them there. He's telling me what to do. Next thing I know, they push the dice to me. Oh my God. Like, oh, what am I going to do? So he says, just shake them and throw them up against that wall. So I do it. And what do you know? It hits a 7. Everybody, hey! And so he said, hey, he just broke his cherry, got a 7, blah, blah, blah. I throw it again, I get another 7. I got 3 7s in a row. First time I ever played. 3 7s in a row. Next thing I know, I got an 8 or a 9 or something like that. And it took me 6 or 7 rolls before I actually made it. So now I'm on the table for 10 rolls or something like that. And each time I'm throwing it, everybody else is making money. So I'm saying, wow, this is absolutely fantastic. And so I'm having fun now. I'm not shaking anymore. And I throw it, and finally, I think I made 2 or 3 rounds where I made my number, and then I lost.
I think your phone just dropped.
All right, I'm going to hold this thing. Can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, I'm going to hold this thing. It keeps falling down. Sorry. So I make 3 or 4 numbers. I'm happy as hell. Bart's just out of his mind, excited, happy that this is my first time and stuff like that. And so we get done. He says, I pick up your chips. I pick up my chips and I hand them to him. He says, what are you doing? Those are your chips. I said, no, they're not my chips. Those are the chips you gave me. He said, yeah, I started you off. He said, but you made those chips. Those are your chips. So now we go over to the poker table. We're going to play 21. He says, stand behind me. I said, well, I never played this game either. So he puts chips again next to me. Doesn't let me use my chips. He says, take these chips. Puts them next to me, and he says, do what I do. So whatever I'm doing, I'm following him. He said, when he's looking at my hand, he says, hit, take a card, blah, 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 blah. I win another bunch of chips. So now we take the chips. Now it's time to leave. He says, well, let's go have some entertainment. We've been here for a couple hours. We're having fun, blah, 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 blah. We go to the redemption place, and I give them the chips. I had $515. Now, when I left New York to hitchhike, I had $75 in my pocket. Now this man had made me $515. I'm shaken by the amount of money. I don't even want to carry it with me because I'm hitchhiking. I never know what's going to happen. So he says, I understand that. So he takes me to an American Express office. And I take the money and I send the money back to my buddy who's watching my apartment in New York City. I sent him $400. I kept $100. Something like that. And Bart's just laughing at me the whole time. He thinks this is wonderful. So he says, well, let's go to another Frontier, or we go to another hotel. We go upstairs. Now he takes us we go to a girly show. After the girly show, we're up on the rooftop cafe. We're sitting outside having drinks and cigars, and he's just saying, isn't this a wonderful town? I love this town. So at the end of the night, I have no idea where I'm going to stay or whatever. Oh, he said, listen, you'll stay at the ranch. So he brings me back, and here his wife is waiting up for him. Now, this guy's been on the road for a week, and he comes home. Did he go home? No, he went to have a steak, and he went to the casino, and he's playing with me, blah, 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 and he brings me home, and she is lovely. And so we're having, this is 1:30 in the morning, we're having coffee and little cakes and stuff like that. Finally, we all go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and she makes this gorgeous breakfast, and here is this happy, happy man, and he's in love with this woman, and she's in love with him, and It was like the nicest people you ever wanted to meet. And he just says, get in the car, I'll drop you off for your next ride. Says, I'm now headed out to San Francisco. So as I'm leaving, he says to me, well, listen, if you ever want to get in touch with me, just send it to Big Bart at the Frontier. It'll get to me. Big Bart at the Frontier in Reno. That's your address? Yeah. Okay. So he says, well, just keep rolling, youngster. 3 years later, I'm now in Monte Carlo. I'm going to the casino. Baccarat, everything. Now I know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. I buy a French postcard with Morocco, with a picture of the hotel on it and blah, blah, blah. And I send it to Big Bart, care of the Frontier in Reno, Nevada. I put a couple of these, I don't know if I got enough stamps on the thing, whatever. And I wrote to Bart and I said, hey, Bart, look what you started. Signed my name, left my address. Finished my trip through Europe, whatever time I get home. Sure enough, there's a postcard in my mailbox. And what does it say? Just keep rolling, youngster. Just keep rolling. He's the greatest guy in the world. Big Bart. I'll tell you one more story. Now, I'm in New York, and I have a good friend, and he's a broker. And he goes to Rio for Carnival all the time. And he's now in New York, and he's got his Rio friends are up to visit him. So Paulo and Nerida, I met them, and they're just lovely Brazilians. They're young, energetic. They're a young married couple, doing well. He's a broker down in Rio, blah, blah, blah. And he says, listen, you gotta come down. And I said, well, I have been to Rio. I've been to Carnival once before. He said, well, did you ever go to the private clubs? No, I went to the street. He says, listen, the street festival in Rio is for poor people. That's the poor people's parade. He said, if you really want to see what's going on in Rio, he said, you have to go to the masquerade balls. So why don't you come down? We'll put you up at the house. Come on down. Yeah, me, I never said no in my life. So I go down to Rio. They pick me up at the airport. I live in a beautiful, like what would be a condominium building, blah, blah, blah. Lots of flowers and stuff. We're listening to Carlos Jobim, and, it's that time. He takes me to a soccer game. And who's the soccer game? It's between Brazil and their arch enemy, Argentina, in the big stadium. 200,000 people are in this stadium. It's the biggest stadium in the world in terms of soccer. And it is wild and raucous, and I'm having this great time. And he says, well, the club that we belong to is a soccer club. And Saturday night is the masquerade ball. And you'll come with us. You'll see what I'm talking about. In Rio, the competition during Mardi Gras is between all the soccer clubs. They each have their own building. They each put on their own basic show. And there is a judging committee that comes to each ball and rates the decoration, the party, the quality of the music, quality of the food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now it's time to get the costume together. And Narita says to me, she said, you're a pretty big guy, and I don't know about the clothes and stuff. So why don't we strip you down? Why don't we just make you a Roman god? What's a Roman god? Okay, well, we'll get shoelaces and we'll put them on these shoes. And he puts on the shoes, and she paints the shoelaces gold and wraps them, intertwines them up my leg, ties them at my knee. So now I got shoes. Put a little pair of bikini things on, and then she gets a cloth, and we dye that gold. She puts lame on it. Then she puts a wreath around my head. I got long hair. So it's kind of a gold and green wreath. And she gets all kinds of jewelry, puts jewelry around my neck, jewelry like, you know, I don't need a lot of help with jewelry, you know. I mean, I already got my starter kit going. But she's got me in gold. She's got me in necklaces and hanging down. And now out comes the gold glitter spray. And so she sprays me up. We spray the face, we spray the whole body, blah, 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 blah. And then we throw a little white robe, a little cloth thing over it. So I got a costume. But we go to the carnival party. Now this is in a huge building. It looked like what would be a museum in any other big brick building. Giant columns, and inside is this majestic ballroom. And in the ballroom are two stages. One stage is forward, the other stage is back. Now, when you do the samba, when the music starts, the warm-up is at 11:30, the music begins at midnight, and it goes all night. The idea with the samba is that the music can never stop. Once you start dancing, you dance. And when one band is exhausted, that stage retreats, and the other stage, which is another band, comes forward, and they continue the music. I never saw anything like this. I mean, and I've been to big New York hotels and everything. I never saw anything like this. Now, the party itself is everybody is in costumes. If you've ever seen the Rio costumes, you know, the headwear could be 2 feet tall, feathers, plumes, et cetera, and all the women are basically naked or scantily clad. And it is, you know, it's just this wild scene. And the music and the sweat and the caipirinhas, and before you know it, you know, I'm sitting outside in the garden just trying to get some air. Sure enough, a model sits down next. We're talking, blah, blah, blah. We go back, we go dancing, blah, we're having a great time. And somehow I lost Pablo and Narita. I don't know what happened to them. So now my feet are hurting. They got blisters. I have to go sit outside, but I'm fairly drunk at this point. I mean, I don't know how much I've had. So I'm sitting outside by myself on this stone kind of pillar in the middle of this formal garden. Well, that's where I woke up. I woke up behind the thing on the ground at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the place was closed up. The party was over. I think Paulo and Narita thought I was probably with that woman, but I wasn't. And I was in the back. So now I wake up and I'm all, you know, I'm dusted off, I'm smeared, you know, I look like a mess. And there's a tree. I figured, I got to get out of here. So I climb up the tree, and the tree is next to the wall, and I shimmy down the other side of the wall. Stupidly, I'm now outside. I don't have any money. I don't have the address of Pablo and Narita because they picked me up at the airport. So I'm half naked, dirty, walking around outside the building, not knowing where to go or what to do. So I just went and I sat at the front steps. Within a half an hour, the cleaning staff shows up. They're going to clean the place. And I tell them what had happened. You know, I'm trying pantomiming because I don't speak Portuguese, you know, but I'm telling them, you know, what happened to me and that I have a friend and could they call him? Well, what's his number? Well, I don't know his number, but he's a member here. And maybe if there's a membership book, we can look it up and call him. And so they actually believe me. They look and they get out the book. And sure enough, there's his name. They call him up. You know, we wake him up now. It's like 7:30 in the morning. You know, he's completely fried from the party. And they tell him, they got some guy here in a gold outfit who's half naked who says he knows you, you know. Sure enough, he comes and picks me up and I go back to the house. So the moral of the story is if you're ever in Rio and you're going to the Mardi Gras, make sure you tuck the address in your jockstrap before you go to the party. So I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties today. I'm sorry I lost Karen, and for this camera to being dropped a couple times, but this is Ken Ludmer at Kyaks.guru, and signing off, and have a great week.